Stolen cars and gun crimes, violence that has been on the rise across the nation and even here in the Columbus metro in recent months.
And those behind the acts are often teenagers, some as young as 14, who find themselves in and out of the juvenile justice system. Because of their age and legal rights, we don't often hear from them until now.
Yeah, tonight we pause to listen, not to glamorize their crime or to take advantage of them, but to understand the why. Why they and other teens like them do it, the challenges the courts face when sentencing them, and what could lead to a turning point, making our neighborhoods safer.
Because there was a point in time I feel like I didn't have a purpose.
Patrick Chandler and Gabriel Matthew found themselves behind bars before their 18th birthday.
When I was 14, I really started going downhill.
Gabe says peer pressure played a major role in shifting him off track.
Was that a fear that you could end up dead one day?
Yes, sir. From the people I was hanging out with, some people I was hanging out with, they were in gangs.
A night out with a group of guys 2 years ago ended with a 2 a.m. traffic stop and a discovery by officers that thrusted Matthew into the juvenile justice system. A stolen gun in the car that Matthew claims he had nothing to do with.
You can't just tell a police officer that someone left a gun in a car, because they're not going to believe that.
A judge found him guilty on concealed weapon and receiving stolen property charges and sentenced him to a year of probation.
I had a lot going on for myself. I had a lot of positive things going on for myself.
Much like Gabe, life early on for Patrick Chandler seemed good. He had a family who encouraged him, sparking a flame that would be smothered by grief from the death of loved ones, anger, and negative peer pressure. Patrick went from a standout to a dropout. Loyalty to his best friend became his top priority.
I feel like if I would have kept trying to be a positive person to him, he'd have still been here and we'd have been living a better life and making better decisions.
One bad decision in November of 2020 would shake Chandler to his core.
I couldn't sleep. Man, it was time. I told the police to kill me because I didn't even want to live no more without him.
Patrick watched his best friend die from a gunshot wound. The bullet, he says, was fired as his friend played with the weapon. However, weeks later, police charged Chandler with reckless homicide and a gun specification charge. Charges he pled not guilty to.
Everybody that's doing this right now, they know right from wrong. They know what they should and shouldn't be doing.
Gabe says many of the teens stealing cars, committing murders, and other violent offenses could be seeking a thrill or validation with little concern of consequences.
There's regulations and there are rules that we as judges have to comply with, and kids have their rights too. They have rights just like the adults do.
Franklin County Juvenile Judge Monica Hawkins says the criminal issues with our teens were fueled by the COVID-19 pandemic. She says they were cut off from social connections and services that help steady them. She says the median age for those appearing in her courtroom now is 14 years old, with many who reoffend back a few months later.
The kids that come here are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. They're dealing with benign neglect. They usually are on our A&D docket, or abuse, neglect, and dependency. Usually come from homes with less income, less stable homes.
Rules and laws are different for juveniles than adults, especially how they're released after being charged.
It's a bunch of factors and stuff that we consider that, but we as judges are not just letting people out.
Juveniles can't pay their way out with a bond. Their freedom hinges on laws and a screening system the judges are required to follow.
It considers their past history, any past crimes, any violent crimes. It tries to take all of that, and it has a scoring system. And that's pretty determinative of who gets released and who gets to stay.
While the courts have been criticized for this practice, several research studies support it. According to the Juvenile Law Center, research confirms that locking children up for long periods of time causes more harm than good and does little to protect our communities. As for Patrick and Gabe, Patrick joined the Army as a human resource specialist.
I ended up joining the Army to do positive things, you feel me, so I can actually build a career, because it wasn't nothing in the streets.
While Gabe is finishing high school and maintaining a job he loves.
I got a second chance. I knew I didn't want to keep doing the same thing I was doing before and be the same person I was before and end up in jail, actually, or end up dead, because I know I want better for myself.
Both young men tell me they hope their stories of redemption will inspire other teens to do what's right. Right now, Gabe is working to get his record expunged. The charges against Patrick are still pending as he awaits a trial date.